I'm sure the Leafs were unhappy last night. I'm sure they were happy that no call McAvoy and Matthews, no whistle at a minimum Marchand on Bertuzzi. They should be. Even the Tavares call, he grabs McAvoy at the end. McAvoy dives, but his stick was being held. Like, he had a legitimate beef. His stick was being held. And that's a call that, again, they didn't call McAvoy on it 200 feet from that position earlier in the game. Why would you call it with the game on the line? Now the whistle comes out. So I understand why the Leafs would be upset, but at the end of the day, it's over. And, they're going to be asked about it today. They'll be asked about it tomorrow. They'll be asked about it on Saturday. Is Marchand in your head? Is Swayman in your head? And whatever they say is irrelevant. Its actions are going to speak louder than words. And if they get into game 4 on Saturday and they're thinking, we got to go at Marchand or we got to do this, that, or the other, you're playing into his hands. He wants you to do that. He's dying for the Leafs to come out and say, we got to hit him and slash him, because he'll just keep doing the same thing he's been doing. Like, that's a guy, you got to let him sleep. Like, I honestly, if you can get a clean hit on him, hit him. Other than that, don't even engage.
Yeah, it's almost like that more contact. Like, you talk about contact on a guy, you got to get your bumps. It's almost like, obviously you don't want to give him too much time and space, and you want to punish him when you can. But the extracurricular stuff, it almost like backfires if you, if you want to get into the, the face wash. It like charges him up and makes him, I don't know. He just does what he does. And the one thing that Sheldon Keefe did say that I agree with, he's an expert at it. Like, he is an expert antagonist / star player.
He's always prepared to. If you watch the goal, the empty net goal, he braces for contact right after. He's waiting, and he's got his stick ready to basically slew foot somebody. I can't remember who it was that went at him, but if we show the empty net goal,
Yarncroke went at him. That's
watch
this
19. Up on TSN 2. He scores, and Marchand is waiting for him, and he braces, and he's like, no, okay, I'll keep going. Like, he knows it's coming.
Well, he thought somebody would run him. Like, that at that point, remember Scheifele? Was it Scheifele that against Evans? Remember Evans scored the empty netter?
Oh, that was
Winnipeg. And Scheifele just ran him through the boards. Like, he got suspended on. But Marchand, he gets tied up with Bertuzzi, ends up, submarining him, throwing him over his body, gets up, jams it in the net. And I think he's bracing for Yarncroke to cross-check him or slash him or run him.
I don't know. You guys can disagree. I think Brad Marchand, people think that he's just this dummy that runs around.
No.
I think that there's calculated decisions on how much juice there is on the bench, how much energy there is, what's needed, like offense. Is it to punch somebody in the head? Is it to – do you know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of things floating around up in his dome where it's like, I got to calculate kind of what's needed, and I'm going to go out and execute. And that's what a part of his brilliance.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, he's the captain now. He learned from Chara, from Bergeron. Well, I mean, he was their counterpart. It wasn't like he was some kid 4 or 5 years ago. This guy's 35 years old. He's been in the league for a long time. And that's what's frustrating if you're a Leaf fan, is you've been watching him do this for years, including during the regular season. I was in the building. He scored the OT winner. You know, he's constantly in it. And last night he was in on basically everything. And now he's going by the bench. It sounded like he was saying something to the Leaf bench after the empty netter. It sounded and looked like he was saying something. And, I'm sure he won't reveal it publicly, but maybe our next guest knows what he was saying because he was standing right there. Here he is from ESPN, our good buddy Ray Ferraro, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Did you catch any of what Marchand was barking about when he scored the empty netter last night?
You know what, I didn't. Honestly, sometimes if the guy isn't right in front of you when you're down there, you can't hear. But there's lots between the benches all game, like in this series. I don't know, there was I'm doing 2 series, or I have been, the Washington Rangers in Toronto and Boston. There's like all kinds of barking. It's usually the same characters. It's Maroon and it's Reeves, and in the other series it's everybody and Rempe. Like, that kid just stands there and he's like a magnet. Like, they keep going after this kid all the time, and like there's lots of BS that goes on there, but none of it really means anything. Marchand really wasn't involved much in it, other than his play, like in the barking. He did go by the bench. I don't know if he really said much. At that point, you can say anything you want. because you've just, come through big again in another big moment in the same building that you've done it in for years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was so good last night, and he's been doing it forever, Ray, and I'm sure you've got a great appreciation for him. If you're a Leaf fan, you hate on him. If you're a Bruins fan, you love him, but you're objective. You're just there watching. You always say it doesn't, you're not rooting for anyone. You have no impact on how the game's going to play out. When you consider how long he's been doing it, and, the back and forth with Bertuzzi all night, he sets up the DeBrusque goal. He scores two himself, including the one that quieted the whole building down right after they had tied it up. What, was he the guy for you, Marchand, last night?
Yeah, for sure. But here's the thing, and I thought it in the first game of the series for sure, was that the Leafs were really trying to, prove their point about, we are different, we are tougher, we are bigger, we can hang in there. And then they took a bunch of bad penalties and they lost. And then the next game, they take only 2 penalties, but both of them were really bad penalties, like the McCabe penalty and the Bertuzzi slash. That could have cost them the game when he slashed Marchand. I mean, it's 2-1, or 3-2 rather, and the penalty kill came up huge for them. It's you're not going to bug him. You're not going to, you're wasting energy trying to be him. He does it without trying. It's no effort for him to be a pain in the ass, right? And he does it all the time because he's really good at it, and B, more importantly, he's a terrific hockey player. And so if you're spending your time worrying about him, then you've taken your eye off the ball. And I find that a little bit, the play where he should have got a penalty in the middle of the ice with Bertuzzi, right? Mm-hmm. At some point, they should have probably just called them both before Marchand pulled his feet out. They were slashing and punching each other all the way up the ice. And if that's how the game is, Bertuzzi's got a choice, either be involved with it or just skate away, and because you're not going to take him out of the game at this point. He's already taken himself out of enough games over the early part of his career. He's too experienced. It's really unlikely that you're going to get him to do something stupid. It just, to me, it seems unlikely. What is he now, 35?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
He's been through every rodeo 100 times. He knows where the line is. He gets up to it, and then he backs away from it. And now everybody hates him, and everybody wants to punch him in the face, and he goes and scores a couple goals and sets up the game winner.